All right, here we go. Evan, how are you doing today, fam?
I'm good, man.
That,
I'm in good spirits. I'm in
that's
good
great.
spirits
That's
today,
great.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
good spirits.
just for the viewers out here, Evan, he's a producer, recording engineer at Major Music Studios, like in Toronto, and you know, like there's no need to explain like a lot of things as well. Like just with healthy active living, with working with a lot of acts like Kadeem and everyone else who's been to major music. It's dope.
Hmm.
All right.
Yeah, many things. I am many. I am more than one, as we all are.
True, true. But like since everyone knows you more with the production and affiliation with major music, we want to get to know you like in the early aspect, your early days and all that. So, where did you grow up in the GTA, and what was the environment like for you growing up, as well as like your childhood? Would you say that it was like a good experience growing up, or would it be quite different?
Um, there was some ups and downs. Like I grew up kind of like moving around a lot from probably like to the time I was like 7. Like I really was just all over the place. Like my dad didn't really have a stable place. I grew up with a single father also, so my mother wasn't really a big part of my life, and um yeah, like some things happened with my mother and whatnot. But my father raised me and my sister, and I also have another brother, and yeah, we moved around a lot. So like I remember being like at Victoria Park in O'Connor. I remember being on Danforth. Like I remember being like in a couple different places, but I guess Scarborough was the first place that I settled down for a few years around Scarborough Town Center, like Lawrence and Brimley area. And then I think when I turned 11, I moved to Markham. So I usually say I'm from Markham because I grew up like really like my teenage years were in Markham. So, like I say I'm from Markham. Originally, like I was kind of in Scarborough for most of the time as a child, like a young child. But yeah, but for the most part, it was a good environment. Like I never really um experienced too much trauma or nothing. So for the most part, like yeah, it was all right. Other than the fact that like I grew up with a single father, which is a paradox. I grew up with a single black father as well. My mother is white, so it's kind of like a paradox of what society would say is normal. You know what I mean? So I think that
True.
adds to who I am as a person and how I grew up.
Yeah. Definitely know what you mean. And I mean, we've discussed this like before in the studio before about like biracial stuff and all that. So like I guess like to speak more on like other experiences, you've have you ever like felt like you've had issues being biracial, or you felt like it was more sort of straightforward, like knew other people that were in the same stance as you in that sense as well? So yeah.
Yeah, it'd be like there's this thing about people. They're very like spoiled for themselves because of our looks or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So like that stigma gets placed on me a lot. Like I'm just some light skinned guy who just wants to look good or whatever. But like truthfully, like I really do go deep into the things, and I really don't let any kind of stigma affect me. I've grown past any kind of stigma that gets placed on me. Any kind of box you put me in, I'm gonna go outside of that box no matter what. So yeah, like I don't know, man. Like I just found out that I am who I am. So that's about it. Like I'm just gonna be me, whatever the case.
No doubt, no doubt. And just to get more into the music side, growing up in both Scarborough and Markham, like were those ends like big for music like back then in terms of being like in industry like section, or just more as a community back then?
Sorry, I didn't catch that last part.
So like Scarborough and Markham, were they big? Was it big for music like at that time growing up, or was it just more
Oh,
like secluded in the community like back then?
so for me, like my musical experience stems really from my father and my uncle. My father is like the biggest music critic of like all 80s type stuff and like very into all different genres of music. So I've always been listening to music. I was in band. I was a trumpet player. I'm a piano player. So like music for me, it stems more from just hearing it from my family itself. So like I was never fully too influencing into the depths of what music really is, if that makes any sense. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
I know what you mean. I mean, like Scarborough back then too. Like I know, like back then, like the most popular area was like Epringham, like Flemington Park, Galloway, like Malvern too. So I think like when talking about like Scarborough, like it had like some pretty like heavy hitters. With P Rain, who now goes by like Prem, and then also Cardinal Official, like from Flemo and all that. So I
yo,
guess
to be
like once.
perfectly honest, I really like at the time, like it took me a while to really even start listening to Toronto rappers. Like I didn't even listen to Toronto rappers like at all.
True, true. Yeah,
Like
definitely.
I mostly when it came to rap, like I listened to a lot of like 90s stuff, a lot of, like Wu Tang. One of my favorite artists is an affiliate from Wu Tang, Killer Priest. And I like for me, like I'm not into all that. Like I'm very against of what most rappers talk about. I'm very against it.
Yeah.
I'm very against of what's going on because I see beyond and I see how a lot of it really is a self-destruction code for our people.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
But
I
here I
definitely know
am
what you mean.
involved with working with the same people. But yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, I definitely know what you mean. Just to get into your side, you already talked about your musical background and history, but what made you decide on wanting to become like an artist, a producer, and like a recording engineer?
Um, I just wanted to express how I feel. I just wanted to express myself, and I want to use it as a vessel to let other people express themselves as well. And I just wanted to show my side of what I see through my eyes in this world.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
That's why I do it.
True. So tell me more about your history and progression in producing music, and how was that experience like for you to diverge in that aspect of like rap and like music in that sense?
Um, so I guess when I turned 20, I bought a laptop, and, and that's really where it started. When I turned 20, I bought a laptop. I saved up and I bought a nice laptop. Then I got all the programs and stuff. And I remember I was going check to check to get each different piece of software and speakers. Like I remember every week I was so excited to get my check just so I could buy a different piece of equipment or a different software. And like really it took a few years for me to start working with any artist at all. Like I really was making a lot of trash for the first like year. But I had the ear though. I knew what I wanted. I just didn't fully have the tools and fully knew how to orchestrate my thought process into a product. And as time goes on, the more and more I started to do it, the more and more people I started to connect with. I started to grow somewhat of a following. And next thing you know, I'm working at a studio. And yeah, like here I am, still still at the grind, same grind.
True, true. I know what you mean. So I guess like back then, like it wasn't like really the norm to get like a laptop back then. I know like back then like a lot of people had like MacBooks and like other
Oh,
laptops.
I always wanted to do it though. I just did. I wanted to do it. I just didn't have the money. I didn't have a laptop. I didn't have the program. So like once I started working a job, and then once I finally saved up a couple of thousand, I was able to finally like actually pursue what I had envisioned.
True, true. Because you said like
But
you bought your
I've
first
been
laptop.
wanting to do it since high school times. Like I wanted to do it. Like I wanted to make beats. Yeah. Only when I was 20, like it took to when I was 20 to buy my first laptop. I didn't have anything. Like everything that I have in here, all the equipment, I didn't have anything in this room. I didn't even have a screen.
Oh,
And yeah, like
true.
I had nothing. So like, yeah, I had to buy all that stuff.
No
I had
doubt,
to
no
work a
doubt.
lot, and I worked construction. I did plumbing. Freeze.
Yeah, I think like it's been acting like that for a while too. Sometimes like it could be like internet connections, all that type of stuff too. So I think it should be fine for now. But
Okay. Yeah, we good? I can
yeah,
still hear you.
now yeah, we're still fine. I mean, there's still like movements and all that, so yeah, it should be good.
Mm.
All right. I think let's just get down to with the main sorry the go-to software. So like as a producer, like what are your main go-to softwares to use when producing, and what are some like tips that you would like to give for like any aspiring producers out there?
Um, Me personally, I like machine. I like Native Instruments machine, but I don't think there's any go-to software per se. Like, I believe whatever works for you works for you. Like, I can use FL Studio, but for me, I like machine because it's more hands-on, and I have the keyboard for it, and I have a drum pad for it. So it's all kind of integrated, and I like how the workflow is for me personally. But I mean, there's a lot of guys they're using Ableton. They're making super fire beats. So like, what it is you just got to find your own thing and just run with that. Like whatever you think is your best way. Like if you're more of a hands-on person like myself, you probably want machine. If you are more of a technical worker, you probably want to use FL Studio. It doesn't hurt to try them all. Kind of just find out which one you like and find a good workflow for you. What's most efficient. Efficiency is key. I believe efficiency is the best thing.
No doubt, no doubt. And I know, like, with producers and like recording engineers, they'll tend to get like some pet peeves, like either like working in the studio or working at home. So, what would be like your pet peeves, as like a producer or like a recording engineer, like in that sense?
As a producer, um, as a producer, it's when people want free beats. That's my pet peeve as producer. Like, you want free beats, man? Come on, I put in some work. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's
Yeah,
my pet peeve as a producer. As an engineer, is when people come to the studio with a bad vibe. Like, you're coming to the studio to make music. Like, you should bring some energy. You know, like how are you supposed to make music with energy without energy? Energy realistically is everything there is. So when you're making music and you're coming to the studio, you gotta bring like a vibe, like energy with you. Because if you don't bring an energy, then it's not really gonna go anywhere. You
yeah.
need the energy. The energy is really all there is, and I mean that to the fullest.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And I think also too, I think there's like this other discussion, like in the sense of like free beats or like even like low balling, like for a beat, like I think like with one issue, it's people that you charge like a certain price for a beat, but someone wants to like low ball, like in that sense. Like how do you even like feel about that, like in that matter? Or would it be like you would have to like prioritize like a budget to find a proper price between like the both of you and all that? So
I'll negotiate. I'm a good negotiator. We can negotiate something, but at the at where I'm at now, I have no. I'm I don't need to deal with you. It's just simple as that. But there's some people where I will do the extra step because I see something in you, so I will do the extra for you. Right? I will do that extra. Maybe it's not a discount, but maybe I'm posting your stuff. Maybe I'm giving you free mixes. Maybe I'm doing, you know what I'm saying? So I like to negotiate. I like to communicate and let's talk about what's going on and we can come to a deal, a conclusion to what's going on. Yeah.
No doubt, no doubt. And just to get into like this next question, like within some time, like last year, you managed to get like an opportunity to become a recording engineer for Major Music Studios. Tell me like how you managed to gain that opportunity, and how did you feel like once that opportunity was given to you?
Hmm. You were there. So realistically, the way I got that job was because of that day that we went to the studio, and I was just kind of watching what Austin Lee, he's another engineer in Toronto. I was watching him, and I was kind of just right there watching him. Said, "Yo, if you need a volunteer, like let me know. I'll just come in and just help you out." Fast forward another 6 months, I sent him a clip of me recording in someone's kitchen because at the time I was just going from house to house, setting up like my microphone and all that at people's houses, and that was like during COVID times. And then he hit me back and he's like, "Yo, actually, we're hiring," and that's how I landed the job. So maybe it was the next another month after that, and I was working with Major just like that.
Yeah, no doubt.
So it
And
all sparked from that day.
yeah, honestly, like that first day, like the studio with me, you, Kadeem, and like a nine and the six, like it was actually like pretty like legendary in that sense too, because we did the first music video for So Toronto with Kadeem, and also just with that first promo with a nine and the six, and with that link up to with you and like Austin at Major, it kind of changed like everything for all of us in that sense too, because it led to bigger
Yeah.
opportunities in that sense.
Mm. And it's funny, I didn't think about it like I'm sure you didn't think about it too deeply either. Like I really didn't even think about it like that. But now that I think back, like that was the day that really set off all the thing for Major Music for me. Like I would have never probably would have never ended up at Major Music if it wasn't for that day, for sure.
No doubt, no doubt.
Funny how things work that way.
And like there's this like this interesting topic that I've gained from Austin. Like when I spoke with him, it's the people that do come to the studio at all times. Whether it's someone from like a different background or someone within a different like mindset or culture. Like a lot of things can like happen in the studio. Like even with drama and other BS that happens, like if you had like any like narrowing experiences on like what you've seen in the studio, like feel free to share in that sense.
Hmm. Um, Nothing really like bad has happened at the studio. Like it's mostly just weird characters. Like, it's just a reflection of what the world is. Like there's just some different types of people out there. Like I just find a way to manage it. But yeah, like I haven't really had any kind of confrontations or nothing as of now. And I hope like it stays that way.
Yeah,
But
no
I
doubt.
don't know. I try to just level the playground. I try to make the studio a temple. I always say to people like, "Yo, this is a temple, so we all the vibes are good here." You know what I mean? So I try to keep
No doubt.
things in line.
Yeah, sure, for sure. You know what's also interesting too is that like every time like I see your page, you're always working out, you're always like meditating, exercising, and all that, and you also promote a healthy like active lifestyle by like working out and doing all these other types of stuff, either for your videos on IG or just practicing like martial arts. So tell me more about that and what made you decide on integrating your healthy active lifestyle like on social media.
Well, that's a big part of me. So when I express these things, these are all just parts of my life, and like I want my image to just be music. Like I'm more than just music alerts. So it's only natural for me to post these kind of things. And I would like other people to take the same journey that I would take and venture out into different things in life and not just be focused on one thing. You have a lot of time in the day. You can be doing multiple things in a day. You don't only have to do music. Like you can pursue other things at the same time. And I think it's important, and it's helped me a lot to keep my head clear. Martial arts is like something that I use as a meditation, as a pastime, as something that I like to see my improvement over time, and it helps with my growth. It helps with my mind state. Helps with my body feeling better. Helps with my mood, and overall, like I think everybody should be physically active. Like I truly believe like when you become physically active, like your mind just becomes more clean. Like you can think clear. And I'm a firm believer in what I call the Trinity. So you have the body, the mind, and the spirit. So some people are too spiritual. Like I'm a spiritual person, but some people are too spiritual. So they don't do anything with their body. So you need to have a balance of the Trinity of the spirit, mind, and the body. And with that, um, will complete yourself more through my eyes.
No doubt, no doubt. And with martial arts too, just like even to discuss on that, I've noticed that it's more commercialized now than like anything else. Even with movies, with
Yeah.
the MMA and like everything like that. Do you feel that it's sort of like a good thing to, even like you have many like pioneers like Michael J. White and Jet Li
Yeah.
and
I love Michael J. White.
Jackie Chan, and then all and like Kimbo Slice too, like all these other people that have played a role in like martial arts and like MMA. Do you feel like it's commercialized for the better or more so for the worst?
That's a good question. I would say half and half. It depends on how you look at it. In my eyes, like you have the MMA, but I know for sure that there's some people that aren't in the MMA that could really beat everybody in the MMA, but they're too sacred to fight in that kind of arena. I mean, it's really like the Colosseum theory. Like you know about the Colosseum, it's like you throw them into the lions and you see what happens. Everybody cheers, whatever, the kings get their money. It's all part of that Colosseum aspect. Sorry, I cut out for a second. It's all part of that Colosseum aspect. But you take the good from the bad. Like that's my vision of it. You take the good parts out of it, which is balancing your body, becoming clean, defending yourself, not being vulnerable to be hurt. Like it's good to know how to defend yourself. It doesn't hurt to know that.
No doubt, no doubt. And
Some
like
people might take it too far though, and they try, they try to do some crazy shit. But yeah, go on.
no, I was just saying, like I know like you already explained this, but like like recently now, you see like a lot of people like especially like in the music industry and in other forms of entertainment that want to like take part in fighting, more so with boxing and like MMA, with Mayweather, Jake Paul, Logan Paul, KSI, all these other people.
Jake Paul.
Like how do you
Yeah,
even like feel about that right now?
yeah. It's a bit of a disgrace to the art. Um, yeah, it's definitely like not good for the art of martial arts. It kind of makes it look uh like a game of some sort, like a circus, which is not what it's about. It's not about it really isn't about like what Jake Paul is talking. Like it's pretty sad, but again, that's just a reflection of the world and what the state of the world is in. And if you can look beyond that, you can see the truth to what martial arts is really about. As long as you look for what's real, the fake images are going to be put in front of your eyes at all times. So it takes a person with the right vision to see what's right, to see beyond all that, all the fakeness.
No doubt, no doubt. Just to get on this other question. So like, what are some do's and don'ts that you could recommend to like any artist or any producer or engineers out there, like going into a studio and expecting like what the rules and norms are?
Do's and don'ts in the studio. Be prepared. Like come come to the studio prepared. Like I got like there's some rappers that come to the studio, they don't even have a beat in mind. And it's like you're wasting your time and your money coming to the studio not being prepared. So maybe you don't have to have a whole bunch of songs written out, but at least have an idea of what you're generally going. Because at the end of the day, you're just going to be wasting your time and money, and then you're going to not be satisfied with the results. So practice, um, bring yourself to a good energy, eat well, sleep well, come to the studio with a vibe, and just be prepared. I feel like preparation is something that like a lot of people misread. Everybody tries to freestyle everything. Like not everybody is Doovy. Not everybody could just freestyle every track. You know what I mean? Like come prepared, write some stuff down. Have a mental image of what you're trying to do before you come to the studio.
Yeah, no doubt. What's crazy? I think the last time we linked in at the studio was like back in November, and we were talking about like clients that come by to the studio, and then you mentioned how like DJ Snoopy was in the studio one time, and like also with Debbie. If you want to talk about that, that's cool. But like if like any like ideas, if you want to like speak on the situation, like tell me more about that.
DJ Snoopy didn't like me. I don't know why. He just didn't like. I don't know why. I don't know what I said to him. The other people with him, they're cool with me, but like he just had his arms crossed, like I don't like the way it sounds, type of shit. Like just kind of wasn't really that cool of a vibe. He never came back. But Debbie, on the other hand, Debbie was fun. I had a fun time with Debbie. Like I got to learn about her whole situation and why she is who she is and whatever is going through her mind and how it works for her and her daily basis of life. So it was interesting to see like what she's really about and to see it in person was like pretty funny to me. I had a good time with her. It was actually cool.
True. Like with Debbie, like nowadays too, I could understand like why she is what she is. I think like when you don't have like a support system like around you, like people who actually genuinely like don't care in that sense, you have to do something to get that attention too. So I could definitely understand that.
Yeah.
And it's good for her too. I mean, she is getting some sort of attention, whether it's like good or bad too. So, you just gotta pray for the best in that situation too. So yeah. I think you have to unmute your mic for a bit. So
Yeah, you can hear me now?
yeah, yeah. So you
Okay.
heard about the like whole Debbie, the whole Debbie thing, right?
What happened with her? What does she do
No, no,
now?
no. I just told you like about you just gotta pray for the best for Debbie and all that type of stuff.
Oh, yeah, like what she is, she like a rolling stone. She like a runaway kid.
Yeah.
Like one thing I wanted to tell her about, I tried to tell her to meditate. I tried to tell her about the spiritual side of things. I don't know if she heard me, but
No
I
doubt.
hope the best for her.
Yeah, no doubt, for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. And yeah, it's crazy. I even told you about this one time that I tried to email like DJ Snoopy for an interview and no response. So DJ Snoopy, if you're seeing this right now, like gotta come by to TLY to just explain everything.
Yeah, I
But
don't know. He didn't like I don't know, man. He just didn't really he didn't like me for some reason.
yeah,
He didn't even talk to me.
yeah,
Like every time he talked, he would talk to his man, and then his man would talk to me through him. Like I couldn't talk to him directly. Like it was weird, but yeah, whatever. So doesn't matter.
yeah. It is what it is. People are people. Like at the end of the day, so you can't change on man's. So you can't change on man's. So
Yeah, and like honestly, man, like I'm at a point where I don't necessarily care for how famous you are. Like I really care for who you are as a person and like what your goal as a person is and what your journey is and what you're trying to say. Like I really do care for like the smaller people who are trying to actually say something like for themselves and represent something that's something good. I'm really here on the forefront for positivity, rebel against the empire, burn down Babylon and all that. So
yeah, yeah.
that's really what I'm about. So if you about that, then yeah, we're on the same side.
True,
It
true.
doesn't matter how famous you are to me. Like I've seen a few bigger rappers and it it doesn't mean anything to me at this point, really.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Just to end off, with the last three questions. So, what artists or genres are you like influenced by? And if you were to produce for any artist, like one day, what day would you like to work with in that sense?
Um, One of my favorite rappers is Styles P. I really like Styles P. I like the way he delivers his rhymes. I like what he talks about. Um, Toronto wise, let's see who from Toronto would I want to work with. Like, I'm pretty open. Like, I'm pretty open to work with. Mr. I like Mr. 905, Slim De Niro. I like him. Doobie is sick. I like his sound. Um, there's a lot of good artists in Toronto. Like I can't even really say for sure, but me personally, like if you actually listen to the music that I listen to, like I'd be listening to like old like Chinese samples and stuff like that. Like I'm like an old man. I'd be listening to old man music, real shit. Like because I listen to so much beats throughout the day. I'm engineering. I'm listening to beats all day, songs all day that I really do need like meditation music or music that's really chill. I listen to a lot of Sade, a lot of 90s, a lot of R&B, like a lot of just chill stuff that just puts my mind at ease. And uh, whoever comes my way. Like I'm making my own music as well. I just dropped a song. So I'm kind of focused on like my circle of people. But for the most part, yeah, I'd be listening to that old Chinese man music. That's what I'd be on.
No doubt, no doubt. For me, like right now, like as far as like Toronto artists that I've been listening to, I knew throughout the break, like even like throughout this whole COVID time, like I've been like listening to like some Toronto acts here and there. So I've been listening to MK So Live. I've been listening to Bread from Ardwick, Pilla B for a bit too, and then
Yeah, I like
ARP
Pillar
is
B. ARP, yeah, yeah. Those guys are dope. Pillar B is hard. AR, yeah, AR is definitely hard. Like for sure. For sure, for sure.
and yeah, even Doobie too, and like LB, like Spiffy, like they're going hard in the city too. And then I just even listened to Lil Barrett's project, like Icebreaker too. It's actually like hot in the streets right now, so definitely check that
Mm.
out too.
Okay, okay.
True.
Yeah.
So like like right now we're talking about the Toronto music scene. And I just want to get on your thoughts. Like, how do you feel about the Toronto music scene at the moment? Do you feel like it's going up right now, like especially with the whole academics cosign, or do you think there's like a lot of more work that needs to be done right now?
Um, I think it's the music. Okay, what the music scene is a reflection of exactly what is going on. So the music will only change if the dynamic of what's happening in Toronto changes, if that makes any sense. Like the music, all the music is just a reflection of what's actually happening. And also of what's not happening. So the illusion of what's happening. That's a big part of it. The illusion of what's happening is like a big reflection to what's happening to the music industry. But like I don't see anything like I can't really criticize the music. Like I can't really say it's good or bad. Like it's all it is just what the natural expression of most Toronto people are at the moment. And it's it's kind of I don't like the killing and the murder and all that, but at the end of the day, it is the natural expression and the natural reflection of what's happening. So I would like for it to stop, but it is what it is, right? And I am on the forefront to help alleviate whatever is happening, but I'm only one person, so we need a whole army.
Yeah, I definitely know what you mean too, and especially the way it's like sensationalized too. Like I don't know if you know about Toronto ology, like the whole like Reddit post thing that they post about like Toronto rappers and all that too.
No, I don't know about that.
Yo, so it's kind of like this Reddit page that these Toronto men are like using for a bit to talk about all this like could beef and everything like
Oh,
that.
like
And
a poly page.
yeah, and even like with the whole poly pages and like Toronto, even Six Buzz and like Real Toronto News and all that. I think like there is some good and then there is some bad towards it. Like, I mean, if you're co-signing artists, like it's sort of like a good thing in a sense too. But I think just with posting negativity and posting all this other BS too. I mean, that would have to stop like for a bit. So
Yeah, because we got to think about the younger generation because that's what they're looking up to. And it's funny, like I'll be in the studio, it'd be like 15-year-old kids coming to the studio, like iced out, all that, like dope boys they're 15 with like racks on racks. Like it's blows my mind. Like it's ridiculous
yeah,
talking about killing all kinds of people and shit. Like it's madness. But
I know what you mean.
man, like I really okay. Like at the end of the day, the way I see it is we are under a spell in a sense. We are under a spell where you will okay, like here's a line I'll hear a lot from rappers is like, I'll shoot that nigga and then I'll run from the cops. My bad. You can see me?
Yeah, I can
It'll
see you
be
right
like,
now.
yo, yeah, it'll be like, yo, like I'll shoot him and then I'll run from the cops. So it's like you're gonna kill your own kind yet run from the cops. And yet, like, you know what I'm saying? Like the cops, like you're gonna run from the people who are oppressing us. So I almost see it as like a self-destruction code that's been planted since the slave times and it's transgressed over now to today's times. And we're all just lost into this twisted world of endless revenge. And that is part of the curse that has been implanted on us. And we have to try to uplift ourselves from that
No doubt, no doubt.
some way.
And I think like there are like two things towards it too. I think like one thing is like the whole like generational curse, and it's been like that for many years, like many different origins. We've seen it like in our own eyes, like when we're young as well, and then parents and everyone else, the OGs too. So like for me, like back in high school, like years ago, like one of my like the school that I went to had like this whole like gun call thing, and like everyone was like in lockdown like at that school, and then the next, like hours later, they found it like knives and all that. So like a lot of the people like in our age at that time, they wanted, to spin the block for a bit, to spin for their own people, like spin, for their community, like in that sense. So like, and then they bring that whole sense to like the youth, because that's all what they're gonna see. Like they're gonna see like a next man like carrying a knife, a next man like, hey, this is fun, making money's fun, going to school is like a waste of time too if you're not like in the team or anything like that, like it's the blog, or like if you're not like making tunes, it's the blog, honestly. So I think like,
Yeah.
just like
Yeah, like you go
re-evaluating.
to school and they'll call you a nerd. They'll call
Yeah.
you a nerd and they'll make fun of you for going to school. Like it makes no sense. It's like so backwards.
Yeah. And
It's
also,
so
I mean,
backwards.
I think as what you said too, with that line, like you'll shoot like that next man, and then the feds are gonna come too. I
You'll
think
run from
like
the
it
cops.
was even like evident, like when Judas and the Black Messiah was out, like for a bit, and like these were kids like in their like late teens, like early 20s, fighting the police in that sense too, protecting their own people. You don't see that like anymore, like anymore too, because nowadays it's just that whole dysfunctionality like within that system, like they
Mm,
see like your other like person same color as you as your own enemy rather than the oppressor in that sense too. So I guess
yeah.
it's kind of within
Like
that sense.
another thing is like, okay, so like mans will claim a block, right? And like they'll claim a street, but like who really owns that street?
The
Like you
person.
think you own that street? Like you really think you own that street? Like who really owns that street? And like a lot of times it's like mans will be like, I got it out the mud, but like who put the mud there first? Like why is there even mud in the first place? So like these are the kind of questions I always ask myself. Like why is this like this in the first place? And in a lot of areas, it's underprivileged. You're not even breathing the right air, you're not eating the right food, you're not surrounded by the right things, you're only surrounded by concrete, like there's no trees around. Like these are the type of things that play onto your mind, into your spirit, into your body, as I say, the whole trinity, and it puts you off balance. And I'm a firm believer in spirits as well, and like when your body is off balance, things can enter inside of you and you basically become possessed to the point where it's basically mind control. And that is like a big reason why a lot of things happen. People lose their minds and they get taken over. It's like when mans call each other demons. Like why do people want to be a demon? Like they no one wants to be an angel. Everybody wants to be a demon, but no one wants to be an angel. Like how is it like this? Like
I think like even in that
you
sense
see
too,
how
like
reverts, you see how backwards that is? Like we don't understand like how backwards that really is.
yeah, honestly, I think it's that sense of bringing like Satanism into
Yes.
society as a whole too, because
Yes.
when they
And
see like
I said this in my track, and the track I dropped is called Hope. And I said, please don't open up the door now. There's a body on the floor now. It seems like death is the thing that we adore now. It seems like we adore like killing. Like it's like we're addicted to it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like people, even just when people start talking about it, it's like like they want to tell you about it just because like it gives them like this power up or something, you know? But like when you see through it all, you realize that's just weakness. That's really just weakness.
no doubt, no doubt. And like even like the whole idea of property and all that, I think like just like within that main reason, you have colonizers that changed that whole aspect of the community, like back then, before Scarborough, how it is what it was, it was different, without the housing projects, without the lower income ends, it was all houses, like townhomes, made for like middle class and working class families at the time too, mainly mainly of
Mhm.
people of Caucasian like descent, and they own the property. They bought the stocks. They did everything like that too, and then
Yep.
when they realize how other like immigration has changed, like people going into other communities, they realize like, hey, we have to divert, move out. The community is like not the same anymore, and like they're still like making profit off that property, but then they don't want to be in that same property where that next man is claiming that block too. And then it's even just like a dire situation as to ownership in like real estate and like land and all that. So who
Mm.
really does own like land in Toronto? Like, do you have any like black like landowners in that sense? So
Like,
like,
are you familiar like like Eglinton, for example? Like, are you familiar
yeah,
like what's going on there?
yeah, yeah,
Like, there used to be a whole bunch of like black businesses, but they weren't black owned. So now like they're all being taken away, and it's like the whole area is kind of changing. Like, and this is happening in almost like everywhere in the world. Like, and this is not even just about Toronto. Like, this is about every single city. Like, every city, it's the same thing. It's like I always say this too. Like, there's a six buzz for every city. There's a six buzz for New York. There's a six buzz for LA. There's a six buzz here. Blah, blah, blah. Like, it's all just the same thing in different areas. Like, it's literally like different dimensions almost. But yeah, as you said, like property and all that, we don't have a clue. Like, most of us don't have a clue what any of that even means.
yeah. And you hear more about like ownership and everything like that like now on Clubhouse, with these rappers and like other affiliates discussing about that too. And there was also that question like, why aren't like high schools teaching more about like finance and everything like that too? Because
Oh,
i
come on,
i
Yash. We know why.
because
They
it's
can't teach that. That's too much information. Like, we can't be. They can't be teaching all that.
true. And
You know
honestly,
what I mean? Like,
yeah, like I know, like I went to high school before, and then they actually had a course called personal finance at that time too, where you learn
mm,
about insurance and credit cards and credit and debit and everything like that too. But then you see these other high schools, they don't want to teach that because like
that
it's
should be a
gonna
mandatory course.
pretty
That really
much.
should be a mandatory course. Like, 100.
Yeah. And I think it's just to like even divert back to like what their quota is and like not with everything else too. Because hey, if we could teach them about Canadian history and just stop at like the Cold War, like we made on purpose. We're not gonna teach about black history. We're not gonna teach about pre-European history where the Moors were the first settlers in Europe, and the Moors were actually black,
The
not
island.
like white or
Yep.
anything like that. So
Yeah, hey, Yash,
yeah,
Yeah, it's like Black History Month being February. Of course, it's the shortest month. I mean, like, maybe by a few days, but of course, like, they got to make it February. Like,
yeah, no doubt,
but I
no
find it
doubt.
funny that the very next month is called March. Like, we're supposed to march out. But yeah,
No doubt.
you know what I mean?
There's this other crazy thing happening, like in the Toronto music industry too, with the whole like Toronto abusers type thing, and you have many like women, coming out with various stories of like Toronto artists and people like in big positions in Toronto, like abusing them and being accused of being predatory of sexual assaults and everything like that too. I don't know if you have any like responses to that or like your thoughts about that situation, and do you feel like something has to change in that sense?
Okay. So, okay, like, the thing is, men men can be very manipulative to women, and some women kind of allow it to happen, where it's like, you should read the sign. Like, I would like to teach, like, you should see the signs and stay away from someone. But they have certain things that men will cast charms on women, right? We cast charms all the time. Like that's why a girl will say, "Oh, he's so charming," or whatever. Or maybe he's wearing, I don't know, a very nice chain, and the chain has many diamonds, and the diamonds shine in a specific way that catches the eye. Like there's many different things that will drag a woman into such predicaments. But it's that whole thing about um it's not right. It's definitely not right. And like there's a lot of twisted men out here. A lot of twisted men. And I would advise women to be very attentive and very aware of who they surround, what kind of men they surround themselves with, because yeah, they're taking advantage of you, 100%. And I'm a big believer in sexual energy, and sexual energy is probably like the strongest energy in the universe. So when you are giving yourself up to someone and you allow them to enter in you, it's like an unbroken bond is formed that may last forever unless you are lifted of that. But yeah, I would say like men and women, and men can fall victim to a woman just the same. Like a woman could trick a man just the same way. Happens all the time. So we got to be aware of who we're around and what we're doing
No
for
doubt.
sure.
No doubt. Um, I think I think there's like this other topic, as well. Even with the whole Grammy situation, with the weekend, Zayn boycotting like the Grammys, and realizing weekend, he didn't win, like he didn't like gain any like nominations for like Blinding Lights and like After Hours. How do you feel about that situation and him, boycotting the Grammys in that
Yeah.
sense too?
Good. I think it's good. The Grammys, man, it's a joke. It's a joke, man. It's a circus. It's a circus, and slow more and more, it's becoming less relevant. Like I didn't even watch the Grammys. Like I don't like. Do people even really watch the Grammys anymore? Like that's the thing about today's times. There's so many local artists that are good that I don't even care for the Grammys no more. Like I really don't, and I never did. But I like people really don't care anymore because there's so many artists. There's just so many artists now. Like why? Like why am I only gonna watch just five different people compete for some like trophy thing? Like who cares? Like no one cares anymore. Who cares about that? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? At least that's my perspective. Like I really don't care about the Grammys at all. So good for the weekend. I like that.
Yeah. And I think like the Grammys in that sense were like problematic, like especially within the sense of hip hop, when they would award people like Vanilla Ice or MC Hammer or like Will Smith awards
For sure.
rather than
For
like
sure.
talented
That's why
artists.
Kanye did exactly what he did that time. Like he had to do that.
Yeah.
He made himself look crazy, but like I give Kanye the utmost respect for that. Because that's like something that no one had the balls to do. I know a lot of artists probably wanted to do that, but couldn't do it.
Yeah. And
So I'm happy that the Grammys is just not as relevant anymore in my eyes. I just feel like people don't care anymore.
no doubt, no doubt. I just want to like end it off with this one question. So what are your plans for this year in terms of any music, any other opportunities, or anything else in that sense? And do you have any advice out there for any artist or any person like pursuing their dreams?
Um, all right, so I'll start off with myself. So I'm gonna be dropping like some music this year. All the artists I'm working with, my guy Prezi, he's gonna be dropping his music. Um, my dog Mitz, he's gonna be dropping his music. There's a lot of people I'm working with that's dropping music, so that's just a continuous flow that will go on for I don't even know how long. It's just gonna go on for eons, like for as long as it goes on. So I'm just gonna be continuously pushing my content, pushing the image of positivity and being healthy. I'm just gonna continue pushing that. Like that's my main goal. Like I want to be a role model of what a balanced person would be and what might help you balance your life. Like that's what I want to do. And what was the other question again? Sorry.
Like what
Yeah, like
is
I
like your
covered
advice
my
for
part.
any other artists
What
or
was
any
the other
person
question?
pursuing like pursuing their dreams?
Oh, for other people to pursue their dreams. Yeah. Like meditate on it, man. Think about it all the time and then put in the action towards it. Think about it and actually put it into action. And I know a lot of people, they think a lot, but then they have a lot of great ideas, but then they don't do it. And maybe it's because they're afraid of what other people might say. Like maybe they're afraid of being rejected, or maybe it's not the norm for them to do that, or so don't be afraid to be yourself and be confident in who you are, because no one can do you better than you. You are the best you ever. So focus on yourself, be yourself, project yourself, and the universe will grant you what you desire as long as you stay true to yourself. And
No
keep
doubt.
your eyes open. Keep your eyes, all three of them.
No doubt. No doubt.